The average American now spends over $12,000 a year on healthcare, battles chronic inflammation, and feels exhausted by 2 in the afternoon. Yet in Japan, people eat white rice daily, rarely step foot in a gym, and work some of the longest hours on the planet. They live 6 years longer with 1/10 the obesity rate and a fraction of our chronic disease. This isn't genetics. It isn't luck. It's a series of deceptively simple daily habits that I started adopting 6 years ago, and they completely rewired my body, my home, and my mind. Today I'm counting down 8 of the most powerful ones, from the way they drink water to what they do the moment they walk through the front door. Habits so simple they'll shock you, and so genius you'll wonder why no one ever taught you these things growing up. Number 8. They start every single day with warm water, not coffee. Walk into any Japanese kitchen at 6 in the morning, and you won't find a coffee pot gurgling on the counter. You'll find a kettle. A simple, electric kettle heating water to just below boiling. Poured into a plain ceramic cup, sipped slowly while the house is still quiet. This isn't about caffeine. It's about waking up the digestive system the way you'd wake a sleeping child, gently, not with a jolt. In traditional Japanese medicine, the stomach is considered the body's furnace, and you don't throw ice on a furnace first thing in the morning. You warm it gradually. The logic is almost embarrassingly straightforward. Your internal organs have been at rest for 8 hours. Your digestive enzymes are dormant. Your blood flow is concentrated in your core. Pouring near freezing water into that system is like starting a car in a Minnesota winter and immediately redlining the engine. The Japanese approach is the opposite. They meet the body where it is, warm and at rest, and they coax it awake. I first witnessed this staying with a host family in Kyoto. My host mother, a 72-year-old woman named Keiko who moved like she was 40, would hand me a cup of warm water before anything else. No lemon, no honey, no delicate porcelain cup. Just water heated to about 130 degrees in a thick, sturdy mug that felt good in my cold hands. She would stand at the kitchen window with her own cup, looking out at her small garden, and she wouldn't speak. She would just sip and breathe, and watch the morning light shift across the moss. I hated it the first week. It felt pointless, flavorless, a chore I had to endure before I could get to the coffee I actually wanted. My American brain kept screaming at me. Where's the caffeine? Where's the flavor? Where's the reward? But Keiko was insistent in her quiet way. Every morning the mug appeared. Every morning she stood at the window. And somewhere around day 10, I stopped resenting it. By week 3, something shifted. The morning bloating I'd normalized for years, the kind where your jeans fit at 8 a.m. and feel tight by 10, it vanished. I hadn't even realized I was bloated. I thought that was just how mornings felt. I thought that vague, heavy, sloshy sensation in my gut was a normal part of being awake. It wasn't. It was my digestive system screaming at me for shocking it with cold liquid every morning for 20 years. A 2022 study from the University of Tokyo's Department of Gastroenterology confirmed what Keiko already knew instinctively. Drinking warm water upon waking increases gastric motility by nearly 30% compared to cold water, essentially priming the entire digestive tract before you've eaten a single bite. The warm water stimulates the vagus nerve, the long wandering nerve that connects your brain to your gut, telling your entire digestive system to wake up and get ready. When you shock your system with ice water or cold brew first thing, your blood vessels constrict, your digestion slows, and your body has to work harder just to reach baseline temperature. You're essentially forcing your body to divert energy away from waking up and toward thermal regulation. It's a terrible trade. I've now been drinking warm water every morning for 6 years. I don't even think about it anymore. The kettle goes on before I check my phone. The mug is waiting on the counter. It's become as automatic as brushing my teeth. And the benefits have compounded. My digestion is smoother. My skin is clearer, which I didn't expect, but apparently dehydration and poor circulation show up on your face first. My morning energy is steadier. I still drink coffee, but now it's a choice I make an hour or two after waking, not a desperate intravenous need. Try it tomorrow. Before you reach for your phone, before you check email, before your feet hit the floor, walk to the kitchen and heat a cup of water. Not boiling, just hot enough that you have to sip it slowly. Stand by the window. Don't scroll, don't plan, don't mentally rehearse your meetings. Just stand there and drink the water and let your body wake up the way it was designed to. Do this for 7 days and watch what happens to your digestion, your energy, and that mid-morning crash you've probably accepted as normal. You've been shocking your system awake for years. It's time to try something gentler. Number 7, they don't exercise, they move all day without naming it. If you ask a Japanese person about their workout routine, most will look confused. They don't have one. Not in the way we think of it. There's no Peloton in the corner, no gym membership burning a hole in their wallet. No 45-minute high-intensity interval training session scheduled into their calendar with a color-coded app. Yet Japan has one of the lowest obesity rates in the developed world, and their elderly population remains shockingly mobile well into their 90s. I've watched 80-year-old women in Tokyo carry groceries up 5 flights of stairs without breaking conversation. I've seen 70-year-old men bike to the fish market at dawn with perfect posture and steady breath. The secret isn't a secret exercise program. It's that movement is baked into the architecture of daily life. The average Japanese adult walks over 6,000 steps a day, not because they're trying to hit a goal on their wristwatch, but because they walk to the train station, they bick. Eat to the grocery store, they stand up and move between tasks. They squat to clean the floor. They carry groceries home in their arms instead of loading them into a trunk. They take the stairs because the elevator is slow and the stairs are right there. Movement isn't a separate activity. It's the medium through which life happens. I realized how sedentary my American life had become when I moved into a walkable neighborhood in Osaka, and suddenly, without trying, without changing my diet, without a single gym session, I dropped 8 pounds in 3 months. My step count tripled. My lower back pain, which I'd spent hundreds of dollars on chiropractors trying to fix, disappeared entirely. I hadn't injured my back. I'd just been sitting for 12 hours a day, and my glutes had forgotten how to fire. The human body was not designed to sit in a chair for 8 hours, then drive home sitting in a car for 45 minutes, then sit on a couch for 3 hours, and then compensate with 1 hour of aggressive exercise. That model doesn't work. It's like eating nothing but processed garbage all day, and then taking a multivitamin before bed. The math doesn't add up. A longitudinal study from the National Institute of Health and Nutrition in Tokyo tracked over 10,000 adults and found that the single strongest predictor of maintaining a healthy weight past age 50 wasn't structured exercise. It was what researchers called non-exercise activity thermogenesis, the calories you burn just living, walking, standing, fidgeting, carrying things, reaching for things, bending, squatting, moving through space. The Japanese don't compartmentalize movement into a 1-hour block they dread. They design their lives so that movement is unavoidable and effortless. Their cities are built for pedestrians, not cars. Their train stations have stairs, not just escalators. Their homes require you to stand up and walk across the room to adjust the temperature or open a window. Their daily routines involve squatting, reaching, carrying, and bending dozens of times before lunch. You don't need a gym membership. You need to stop looking for the closest parking spot. You need to take the stairs instead of the elevator, not just when you're feeling virtuous, but every single time. You need to carry your groceries instead of pushing them in a cart to your car, then driving them to your garage, then carrying them 10 steps to your kitchen. You need to treat your own body as your primary mode of transportation again. Walk to the store if it's less than a mile away. Bike to your friend's house. Stand up during phone calls. Pace while you're thinking. Do your own yard work. Carry your own luggage. Squat down to pick something up instead of bending over with a rounded spine. None of this feels like exercise. None of it requires special clothes or a shower afterward. But it adds up to thousands of calories a week, stronger bones, better balance, and a metabolism that stays active from dawn to dusk. It sounds so simple it's almost insulting, but that's the point. The most profound changes are almost always the simplest. We've overcomplicated movement to the point of paralysis. The Japanese just live in bodies that move. Number 6. They practice hara hachibu, eating until they're 80% full. There's a phrase you'll hear in Japan, often spoken quietly at the end of a meal, almost like a prayer. Hara hachibu. It translates roughly to belly 80% full. It's a Confucian teaching that made its way to the island of Okinawa centuries ago, and it's considered one of the primary reasons Okinawa has historically had more centenarians per capita than anywhere else on Earth. The concept is radically simple. You stop eating before you feel full, not when you're stuffed, not when the plate is clean, not when you've gotten your money's worth at the buffet, not when the server asks if you want a box. You stop when the hunger is gone but there's still room. The first time I tried this, I lasted about 4 bites before my American brain started screaming at me. You're still hungry. There's still food on the plate. What are you doing? We're raised with a clean plate mentality, conditioned to eat until external signals tell us to stop. The food is gone. The show is over. Everyone else is finished. The restaurant is closing. But your stomach has its own signals, and they're about 20 minutes slower than your mouth. By the time your stomach registers fullness and sends that signal up to your brain, you've already overshot by a solid 200 calories. Do that 3 times a day for a decade, and the math is devastating. The Japanese have known this for generations. They serve meals on smaller plates, which tricks the brain into perceiving abundance. A full small plate feels more satisfying than a half-empty large plate, even if the amount of food is identical. They eat slowly, putting chopsticks down between bites, which gives the stomach time to catch up to the mouth. They prioritize nutrient-dense food that satisfy with less volume. Miso soup, pickled vegetables, grilled fish, a small bowl of rice. The meal looks abundant because it's spread across 5 or 6 small dishes, but the total caloric load is a fraction of what you'd get at an American restaurant where 1 plate carries enough food for 2 adults. A 2021 study from the Okinawa Research Center for Longevity Science found that individuals who consistently practiced calorie restriction to about 80% of typical intake showed significantly lower levels of inflammatory markers and oxidative stress than those who ate to fullness. Their cells were literally aging more slowly. The mechanism is well understood now. When you eat to fullness, your body has to process a large influx of energy all at once, which generates oxidative stress, free radicals, and inflammation. When you stop at 80%, your cells aren't overwhelmed. They process the energy efficiently, repair themselves, and stay younger longer. When I finally committed to hara hachibu for 30 days, the results were almost immediate. I slept better, my afternoon energy stabilized. The chronic heartburn I'd been treating with over-the-counter medication disappeared entirely. I'd been popping antacids for years, thinking I had a stomach acid problem, when really I just had a volume problem. My stomach wasn't broken. I was just overfilling it 3 times a day. The hardest part wasn't the hunger. It was unlearning the panic. The fear that if I didn't eat everything now, I wouldn't get enough later. That fear is a relic of a scarcity mindset that no longer serves us. There will always be more food. You can always eat again. The refrigerator is full. The grocery store is open. You are not a hunter-gatherer facing an uncertain winter. You are an adult in the 21st century with access to more calories than any human in history. Try it at your next meal. Serve yourself a normal portion, then eat half of it. Put your fork down, sit for 10 full minutes, breathe. Talk to whoever is at the table with you. Look out the window. Let your stomach catch up to your mouth. If you're still genuinely hungry after 10 minutes, eat more. But I suspect you'll discover what I did, that 80% is actually exactly enough. That the feeling you've been chasing, that heavy, sleepy, stuffed sensation isn't satisfaction. It's overconsumption, and your body has been trying to tell you for years. Number 5. They treat bathing as a sacred nightly ritual, not a quick shower. In the West, we shower to get clean. It's a chore, a functional task we rush through in 5 minutes, often while mentally rehearsing the day ahead or scrolling through a waterproof phone case. We scrub, we rinse, we get out, we towel off, and we barely remember doing it. In Japan, bathing is something else entirely. It's ofuro, the deep soaking bath, and it's treated with a reverence that borders on spiritual. The ritual is specific, and it has not changed in centuries. You wash your body completely before you ever enter the tub. You sit on a small stool, you scrub every inch of skin with a washcloth. You rinse until there's not a trace of soap left. The bathwater must remain perfectly clean. Only then, completely clean, do you slide into water so hot it would make most Westerners gasp. 104, 105, sometimes 106 degrees Fahrenheit. And you stay there. Not for 5 minutes, for 20, 30, sometimes 45 minutes. No phone. No distractions. No podcast playing in the background, just heat, water, and silence. The physiological benefits are well documented. A 2023 study from the Department of Rehabilitation Medicine at the University of Tokyo Hospital found that regular hot water immersion of at least 20 minutes significantly lowered cortisol levels, improved sleep onset latency, and increased heart rate variability, a key marker of nervous system resilience. The heat dilates your blood vessels, improves circulation, lowers blood pressure, and triggers the release of endorphins. Your muscles relax in a way they simply cannot relax on a mattress. The weight of your body is supported by water, taking pressure off every joint, every compressed disc, every tight tendon. But the mental shift is even more profound. The ofuro is a hard boundary between the stress of the day and the peace of the night. When you submerge your body in that heat, your mind gets the message. The work is done. The emails can wait. You are now in a different mode of being. There is nothing to optimize, nothing to complete, nothing to achieve. You are just a body in hot water, and that is enough. I installed a simple soaking tub in my bathroom 3 years ago. A deep Japanese-style tub that forces you to sit upright with water up to your shoulders, and it has become the single most reliable stress management tool I own. On nights when my mind is racing, when I can feel the cortisol buzzing in my veins like an electrical current, when sleep feels impossible because my brain won't stop replaying conversations and drafting emails and worrying about things that haven't happened yet, the ofuro resets me. I wash first, slowly, deliberately, feeling the hot water on my skin. Then I slide into the tub, and I let the heat take over. The first 30 seconds are always uncomfortable. The water is too hot. My body wants to escape, but I breathe through it. I let my shoulders drop. I close my eyes, and within 2 or 3 minutes the heat stops feeling like an assault and starts feeling like an embrace. 20 minutes in that heat and my thoughts slow down, my muscles release, and I climb out feeling like I've been gently wrung out and hung up to dry. My sleep that night is deeper. My mood the next morning is steadier. I handle stress with a patience that I don't possess on days when I skip the bath. You don't need a special tub. You don't need a Japanese bathroom. You just need to stop treating your evening shower as a quick rinse and start treating it as a ritual. Wash first, thoroughly. Then soak, even if it's just in your existing bathtub with the drain plugged and the water as hot as you can stand. Leave your phone in the other room, not on the counter, not face down on the toilet tank. In another room entirely. Close your eyes, breathe. Let the heat do what heat has always done. Tell your nervous system it's safe to rest. Do this for 3 nights in a row, and you will sleep better than you have in months. Number 4. They maintain a spotless Jenkin, the entryway where shoes are removed. The Jenkin is a physical and psychological threshold. It's a small, sunken area just inside the front door of every Japanese home where shoes are removed and stored, where the outside world is quite literally left at the door. This isn't just about keeping floors clean, though that's certainly part of it. Japanese streets are walked by millions of people every day. The soles of your shoes have touched subway platforms, public restrooms, wet sidewalks, and God knows what else. Bringing that into your home, onto the floors where your children crawl and your bare feet walk, is genuinely unthinkable in Japan. But the Jenkin goes deeper than hygiene. It's about creating an unmistakable boundary between the chaos of the street and the sanctuary of the home. When you step out of your shoes in the Jenkin, you are stepping out of your public self. The dirt, the stress, the noise, the performance, the version of you that had to be polite to strangers and navigate crowds and absorb the endless stimulation of the outside world. All of it stays in that little tiled area while you step up onto the clean wooden floor in slippers or bare feet. I didn't understand the psychological weight of this until I visited a friend's apartment in Tokyo and watched her transform the moment she crossed her own threshold. Outside, she had been quiet, guarded, a little tense. The second her shoes came off and her feet touched the wooden floor, her shoulders dropped 3 inches. Her face softened. She let out a breath she'd apparently been holding for the entire train ride home. I thought, I want that. I want a threshold that tells my body the performance is over. So I installed a makeshift Jenkin in my own apartment. I put down a small mat, a shoe rack, and a little bench, and I made a rule. Shoes off the moment you walk in, no exceptions. No running back in for something you forgot. No guests keeping their shoes on. No walking past the mat with shoes on to grab something from the kitchen. The boundary was absolute. Within a week, I noticed something strange. My home felt different, calmer, more intentional. I started keeping the rest of the house cleaner too. Not because I'd suddenly become a tidier person, but because the Jenkin had set a standard. The threshold had been established. This is a clean place. This is a peaceful place. You enter accordingly. When the entryway is spotless, when the shoes are lined up neatly, when the floor is free of dirt and clutter, it sends a signal to your brain that the rest of the house should match. Conversely, when the entryway is chaos, shoes scattered everywhere, mail piled up, dirt tracked across the floor, your brain gets the message that chaos is acceptable here. And chaos spreads. Research from the Japanese Association of Environmental Psychology has documented what they call the threshold effect, the measurable shift in mental state that occurs when individuals cross a clearly defined entryway boundary. Cortisol levels drop. Respiratory rates slow. The brain registers safety. In the West, we often walk straight from the garage into the kitchen, shoes still on, mail in one hand, phone in the other, brain still processing the traffic and the work emails and the argument we had with our boss, and we wonder why we can never seem to relax at home. We've never actually arrived. We've just changed locations. Our nervous system doesn't know the difference between the parking lot and the living room because we never gave it a signal. Create a Jenkin. It doesn't have to be architectural. A simple bench, a shoe rack, a small mat. Make it a rule: shoes off, outside world off, home on. Try it for 1 week, and notice how differently you feel the moment you cross that line. Notice how much cleaner your floors stay. Notice how much calmer your mind becomes when you physically leave the day at the door. It's such a small thing. A mat, a bench, a rule, but small things repeated every day become the architecture of your life. Number 3, they practice in Emuri strategic napping in public without shame. In the West, falling asleep in public is a sign of weakness, laziness, or a rough night. If you doze off in a meeting, you're unprofessional. If you close your eyes on the train, you might get robbed or judged. If you nap at your desk, you're clearly not committed to your job. In Japan, it's the opposite. In Emuri translates literally to sleeping while present, and it's a culturally accepted, even respected practice. You'll see it everywhere. On trains, in meetings, at lectures, during parliamentary sessions. A person's eyes close, their head dips slightly, and for 5 or 10 minutes they are asleep. But here's the crucial distinction. They're not checked out. They're not under a blanket with the lights off. They're still physically present, still oriented toward the group, still ready to re-engage the moment they're needed. It's a power nap performed with such social grace that it doesn't disrupt anything. The signal is clear: I'm not abandoning this meeting. I'm not disengaged. I'm simply recharging so I can participate more fully. The Japanese have implicitly understood what Western science is only now confirming: that the human brain was not designed for 8 hours of continuous focus. That we operate in ultradian rhythms, cycles of roughly 90 minutes. And that a brief period of rest between cycles radically improves cognitive performance. The afternoon slump, that foggy, irritable, unproductive window between 2 and 4 p.m., is not a character flaw. It's a biological signal. Your brain is telling you it needs to downshift for a few minutes before it can ramp back up. Ignoring that signal with caffeine and willpower doesn't make you more productive. It just makes you a wired, exhausted person making sloppy mistakes. A 2020 study from the University of Tsukuba's International Institute for Integrative Sleep Medicine found that a 15-minute nap improved memory consolidation and reduced errors on complex cognitive tasks by nearly 30% compared to non-nappers. 30% fewer errors. Think about what that means for your work, your driving, your decision-making, your relationships. The Japanese don't wait until they're exhausted. They don't push through the afternoon slump with a third cup of coffee and a sugary snack that will crash them even harder an hour later. They close their eyes for 10 minutes, they rest, and they come back sharper. I started experimenting with an Emuri during my workday 2 years ago, and the results were immediate and undeniable. Around 2:30 in the afternoon, when my brain would normally turn to fog, and I'd start making dumb mistakes I'd have to fix the next morning, I now close my laptop, set a 15-minute timer, and let myself drift. Not a deep sleep. Not under the covers. Not in a dark room with a white noise machine. Just eyes closed, head resting on the back of my chair, hands folded in my lap, breathing slowly. 10 minutes later, I open my eyes, and my brain feels rinsed clean. The fog is gone, the focus is back. I can work for another 3 hours at full capacity, instead of dragging myself through the rest of the day at 40%. And I didn't need a second coffee or a sugary snack to get there. I just needed to listen to my body and give it what it was asking for. You have permission to rest. You're not being lazy. You're being strategic. The most productive people in the world, elite athletes, top executives, creative geniuses, they all nap. They've just been doing it in private because our culture has made rest shameful. Close your eyes for 10 minutes this afternoon. Not in your bed, not under a blanket, just where you are. Set a timer so you don't stress about oversleeping. Close your eyes. Breathe. Let your brain do what it's designed to do. Recharge, come back sharper. The work will still be there when you open your eyes, but you'll be better equipped to actually do it. Number 2. They eat seasonally and locally without calling it a diet. Walk through a Japanese grocery store in April, and you'll find bamboo shoots, strawberries, and fresh green peas. Walk through the same store in October, and you'll find matsutake mushrooms, persimmons, and Pacific sari glistening on ice. The Japanese don't need a book to tell them what to eat. The seasons tell them. This isn't a marketing strategy or a health trend. It's a cultural inheritance, a way of eating that predates refrigeration and global supply chains by centuries. And it has produced one of the healthiest populations on Earth, without a single person counting macros or eliminating entire food groups. The wisdom is encoded in the culture itself. Haiku poets have written about the first bonito of the season for hundreds of years. Restaurants change their menus 4 times a year, not as a gimmick, but because the ingredients literally change. A chef would be embarrassed to serve asparagus in October or persimmons in April. It would be like wearing a winter coat in July. It just isn't done. Seasonal eating means you're consuming foods at their nutritional peak. A strawberry ripened in June sun has exponentially more vitamin C and antioxidants than one grown in a hothouse in December and shipped 3,000 miles. A tomato picked in August, still warm from the vine, has a completely different nutritional profile than a pale, firm tomato picked green in Mexico and gassed red on a truck. The food doesn't just taste better. It is better, it is more alive. It delivers more of what your body actually needs. Seasonal eating also creates a natural rotation in your diet, which means your gut microbiome is constantly exposed to new fibers, new polyphenols, new bacterial strains. The diversity of your diet is one of the strongest predictors of gut health, and the Japanese achieve it effortlessly by simply eating what's available right now. They don't need to take probiotic supplements or track their fiber intake. The seasons do the work for them. Spring brings tender greens and bitter shoots that support liver function after a heavy winter. Summer brings water-rich vegetables and fruits that cool the body and replenish electrolytes. Autumn brings hardy mushrooms and root vegetables that build warmth and immunity for the cold months ahead. Winter brings citrus and preserved foods that fight off seasonal illness. It's an ancient rhythm that the human body evolved with over hundreds of thousands of years. I started shopping at my local farmer's market with a seasonal calendar taped to my refrigerator, and I was shocked by how much better the food tasted. Tomatoes in August that actually tasted like tomatoes, sweet and acidic and complex, in a way that grocery store tomatoes never are. Apples in October with a crispness you can't fake, a snap when you bite into them that tells you this fruit was on a tree 3 days ago. Peaches in July, so juicy you have to eat them over the sink. And without trying, without any dietary restrictions, I started eating a wider variety of plants than I ever had when I was walking the same grocery store aisles buying the same 12 items every week. The rotation happened naturally because the market only had what was in season. I couldn't buy the same broccoli and chicken breast every week if I wanted to. The market forced variety on me, and my gut microbiome thanked me for it. A 2022 nutritional analysis from Kyoto Prefectural University found that traditional Japanese diets, which shift dramatically with the seasons, contain over 45 different plant species per month compared to the average Western diet which struggles to hit 15. 45 different plants. That's 45 different types of fiber. 45 different collections of polyphenols. 45 different opportunities to feed the trillions of bacteria in your gut that determine your immune function, your mood, your energy, and your long-term health. You don't need to move to Japan. You just need to start asking one question at the grocery store. Is this in season right now? If the answer is no, If the strawberries are pale and hard in December, if the tomatoes are pink and mealy in February, put them back. Find what is. Let the earth decide what you eat for a while. Your body knows how to handle food that belongs to this moment. It's been doing it for 100,000 years. Number 1. They practice ikai go ikai, treasuring each encounter as a once-in-a-lifetime moment. This is the habit that changed me more than any other, and it has nothing to do with food or exercise or bathing. Ikai go ikai is a phrase rooted in the Japanese tea ceremony that means one time, one meeting. It's the understanding that every encounter, every conversation, every shared meal, every quiet moment with someone you love is happening exactly once and will never happen again in precisely the same way. The conditions will never be identical. The light will never fall through the window at exactly that angle again. You will never be the same person you are right now, with the same thoughts and fears and hopes. The person across from you will never be exactly this version of themselves again. This moment is singular and sacred, and it deserves your full attention. The Japanese practice this not as a philosophy, but as a daily orientation. When they sit down to tea with a friend, they are fully there. Not half listening while scrolling. Not mentally composing a response while the other person is still speaking. Not waiting for their turn to talk, not checking their phone under the table. They are present in a way that feels almost radical in our distracted age. I first encountered ikai go ikai at a tea ceremony in Kyoto. The tea master, a woman in her 60s with the calmest demeanor I'd ever witnessed, explained the concept before she began. Every movement she made, every gesture, every placement of the whisk and the bowl, was performed with the understanding that this exact ceremony, with these exact people, in this exact moment, would never occur again. She wasn't performing for us. She was fully inhabiting the moment with us. I walked out of that tea room feeling like I'd been given a secret that everyone else had forgotten. I started applying ikai go ikai to my own life 2 years ago, and the shift was seismic. I put my phone in another room during dinner, not on the table face down. In another room. I stopped trying to capture every moment on camera and started experiencing them instead. I stopped narrating my life in my head for an imaginary Instagram audience. I looked at my spouse across the table and thought, this exact configuration of light and mood and conversation will never exist again. Pay attention. This person will never be exactly this age again, with exactly these worries and these joys. Pay attention, and something strange happened. Time slowed down. My relationships deepened. The constant background hum of anxiety about missing something, about not doing enough, about what comes next, about whether I was optimizing my life correctly, it quieted. Because when you truly believe that this moment is the only one that matters, there's nothing to miss. You're already here, you're already in it. The fear of missing out dissolves because you're not missing anything. You're present for the only thing that's actually real, which is right now. A 2023 study from the Department of Psychology at Kyoto University found that individuals who practiced mindfulness rooted in ikai go ikai principles reported significantly higher levels of life satisfaction and lower levels of anticipatory anxiety than control groups. They weren't meditating for an hour a day. They weren't retreating to monasteries. They were simply paying attention to the moments they were already living. The Japanese aren't happier because their lives are easier. Their lives are not easier. They work long hours. They face intense social pressure. They navigate the same human struggles we all do. They're happier because they're actually present for the lives they're living. They taste their food. They listen to their friends. They notice the cherry blossoms when they bloom, not just as a photo opportunity, but as a reminder that everything is fleeting and therefore precious. You can start this right now. Right this second. Look up from the screen. Notice the light in the room. Notice the sounds. The hum of the refrigerator, the distant traffic, the sound of your own breathing. Notice the person next to you, if there is one. The weight of their body, the expression on their face. This exact moment will never come again. The light will shift. The sounds will change. The person beside you will get up and walk away, and the version of them that existed in this moment will be gone forever. Don't miss it. Ikai go ikai. One time, one meeting. It's not just a phrase. It's a way of being alive. And it's available to you right now, in this moment, exactly as you are, exactly where you sit.